Hi guys, so I'm here today actually to talk a bit about entrepreneurship because I'm very inspired by a guy called James Janney on YouTube, young guy who seems to know a lot about entrepreneurship, and I just wanted to shed a little bit of light because him and another guy called CoffeeZilla are running through really good content about being an entrepreneur, finding coaches, the life of a hustle, and the probability of success. So breaking it down, I just want to share very simply the first post about the cost of ambition or the cost of success. We see this all the time on Instagram, Facebook, all your friends are talking about it, trying to motivate you. You see gurus, you see coaches trying to send this to you, say, this is the cost of success, this is what will make you rich. Unfortunately, I just want to share a little bit more about my own experience. Um, I made it through. I got through a good time. I had a good run, and I started my business. I've been an entrepreneur ever since I was young. I was always arbitraging stuff before e-commerce came along, um, and I've always been keen in business. And whatever I did, even my day job, which is headhunting, um, it's very much a sales role. It's very much an entrepreneur role, and it's very much dependent on your ability to sell and your ability to reinvent. Very much what an entrepreneur has to do. So the post that I'll be sharing you guys, the cost of success, cost of ambition. Let's run through the points just a bit to share. Firstly, they talk about the late nights and the early mornings. It's true. Everybody, whether you're an entrepreneur or generally if you're a hard worker, anybody who has tasted success has put in some amount of time that exceeds the average person. I have a couple of stories to share. So first one was a guy I've met, successful guy in terms of his schooling. He went through a tough phase. He didn't get through school very easily in his early stages of life. His high school was really tough. But when he got to high school, what he wanted to do was he wanted to make sure he was going to get into a good college, a good university, to party and play. He set foot on an adventure that he was going to get into a local university, a local college, whereby most of the fees can be subsidized. That was one of the biggest incentives for him because he needed it for his family. So enter the mindset where he was waking up every day at 6 o'clock to start his daily routine of studying. He was sleeping every day 11 o'clock, whether it was weekends, whether it was party night with friends, whether it was birthday parties. Bear in mind, this guy was only 16 years old, 17 years old, and he had this maturity in him to put in late nights, to put in early mornings, and eventually he got his goal. Today, he's a psychology degree holder and successful in his career. He found a good job. He's doing something that he likes. That's one of the unique stories that I've seen. Another one I've also seen is that a person who worked in a human consultancy for software. We call it consultancy, whereby they are fixing problems that are based on human hours. So everybody's building small pieces of a business through manpower services, if you know what I mean. The software is not like what we used to experience currently. It's more traditional, whereby everybody's building small pieces of little products put together to make one big product. Whereas today, software engineering is so robust, it's so scalable. One person could play a massive role in one software solution. And he had a good job. He had a supportive family that said, hey, stick to this job, you will do well. But yet he was not happy because he knew that he was just clocking the hours for the hours. And he was always asking his manager and his boss, how can we do this faster? How can we do this better? How can we be just clocking hours from the client in order to make a living? This doesn't seem viable, doesn't seem feasible in the long run. All his boss said was, this is the way we've been doing it for the last 50 years, and this is the way we're going to continue to do it for 50 years. I'm not sure myself how to make it any different, but this was what my mentor told me, and this is what we're doing today. So this guy, bear in mind, had a good job, was feeding his family. He quit his job, and he spent 6 months being jobless, studying the market, studying how to get scalable in terms of his skill sets for software. He changed everything he was studying to open source software, which is what everybody's using today. And today he's working for top internet companies. Um, Something is different because, again, these guys are working from the front end to the back end. They're working on massive scalable projects that go around the world, compared to what he was used to working, which was probably an enterprise software that was provided to a bank that was used by, say, 400 people or 500 people to put in information. And that required, say, 2 years worth of work, which didn't make him happy. In comparison today, he's using that time to create products that can be used by 500 million people, used by 3 million people per day. And that was something that he set his mind on, which was to wake up late, get up early, study for 6 months straight to know where he was going to change his life, how he was going to make a difference. And that's where he really made a difference in his life. So the cost of ambition is true. For me, I went through nights for the last 4 years, sleeping at 4 o'clock in the morning, waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning, going to work at 8 a.m. in the morning, coming back at 11 p.m. at night. I didn't know what was day, what was night. I never knew the weekends. And you never know when to stop. Not because, and that's a good thing. Not knowing when to stop is actually a good thing, because it might be because you're so driven by passion, you're so driven by ambition, that you never back down and you never counted the days it took to the weekend, compared to if you are in employment and the weekend mattered so much. In employment, the conversations always go, hey, what's your plans for the weekend? What are you going to do this weekend? Hey, it's Christmas this weekend. When's your next holiday? As entrepreneurs, I never thought that way. Or most of the guys who had dreams in entrepreneurship, I don't remember them always talking about holidays, breaks, long lunches, and gratification, meals and drinks. It's not something that we practice. So late nights and early mornings are very true. But I think today in our modern society, with software and with so much outsourcing going along, there is an ability for you actually to probably cut down the amount of hours that you're putting in work, if you can pay somebody in a cheaper location and cheaper, willing to do $10 jobs, $10 per hour jobs, $7 per hour jobs, $6 per hour jobs, which will save your time and produce better results for yourself. So late nights and early mornings might not be 100% requirement these days for the smarter entrepreneurs, or depending on the product that you're trying to build. The next thing I want to talk about, secondly, is you get a lot of associates and very few friends. This is absolutely true, because most people who work with you see you as a businessman. They always see you as the guy who's trying to sell them something, even though you're not trying to sell them something. It's always, entrepreneurship is always being willing to start from the bottom. So for example, everybody talks about Jeff Bezos, everybody talks about Bill Gates, but nobody ever talks about them starting in the bottom, working in their basement, how they felt, whereby there are a lot of people who were associated to them saying, yeah, I know this guy who's working on this product. I never know whether he might succeed. Yeah, but are they really your friends? Do they really want to hang out with you? Maybe not, till the day you succeed. Why? Because they just can't see the kind of potential gain they can get from hanging out with you, compared to if today you were senior vice president at Bank of America, vice president at Citibank, vice president at Amazon Web Services. That's a second kind of gratification that all humans want. They want to hang out with people who they think will help them. It's just naturally the way they think. And it's something that I found out a lot. So whenever I meet new entrepreneurs, I always share this with them, saying that don't take verbal promises from anybody else. When you ask them, will you support my new business? And they say, yeah, no worries. Just reach out to me. I'll support you in whatever way I can. I'll buy whatever you sell. I'll pitch whatever you sell. Don't buy it, because it just doesn't work this way. And it's true for me because I had a lot of associates. I had a lot of people who wanted to get along with me, wanted to know me, but not really to help me in any way. They were just wanting to know what you do, and since you're in the business and you're desperate for business, what can I ask you to do for me that maybe can make you a penny, but also help myself, right? So life is a bit cruel where everybody thinks about what's in it for me, and in sales we call it what's in it for me. So we think about that a lot, and that's something that you have to live with entrepreneurship. You might have to live with a little bit of loneliness, unless family is in it with you, or you're probably working with your best friend, and but that leaves you with few friends nonetheless. The next thing I want to talk about is being often misunderstood. That's something very, very common. You will be seeing this with your family, with your spouse, with your friends. They always say, oh, why don't you just get a job, get a paycheck? You don't have insurance, you don't have off days, you don't get a rest on weekends. Why do you have a laptop everywhere you go? And they never understand why you're doing that. What's the purpose? They don't see your passion, and they don't see a possibly good outcome, because 99% of new businesses fail, and 99% of the people that hang around them are business failures. And that's what everybody thinks, that you're going to fail, you're wasting your time. It's not worth you putting all this effort. It's triple the effort, and you might not see any great outcome if you work just a normal job in the market, because these days salaries are so high. What's hardest to convince is probably your spouse and your parents, because especially if your parents were not entrepreneurs before, or if they were failed entrepreneurs, that will be worse. They'll be always talking about you wasting your time, just asking you to find a job. They didn't spend so much money on your degree just for you to be doing this, risking it all. Your spouse might not understand why you're risking family stability. This word is very critical. Everybody talks about stability. Cash is stability, but is happiness part of stability? That's something that nobody understands. And is passion part of stability? To have a stable life, you actually need to have a lot of passion in the thing you're doing, because life is on average a 70 to 80 year journey. And after college, you have a good 40 to 50 years to contribute on that journey. You can't be doing something that you absolutely hate and call it stable. And this is something that nobody could understand during my journey. Whenever I was trying to hustle when I was young, doing arbitraging, I was running places to places, delivering stuff back then when there were no delivery riders, back then when there was no e-commerce platforms. And my parents always wondered, why am I doing this for a couple of dollars? And they never saw the scale that I was trying to achieve and the kind of experience that I was trying to gain. So that's a big misunderstanding. The next thing, which is very, very related, is you will be single unless you're lucky enough to find someone who understands your lifestyle. Absolutely true. If you look at other people who have spoken about entrepreneurship, a lot of them have failed relationships. A lot of them have, they might be single, or they might just be always dating and never married. It happens this way because your lifestyle revolves around that passion, and it's an engine where you're constantly having to tweak and improve. It's not a well-run machine. It's not a car that's constantly moving smoothly. That's an established company. In a startup, in a state of ambition and early growth, you'll be looking at working almost every moment. Everything is critical to you. Everything could affect the whole business, how it works. You're doing everything from marketing to accounting. You want to know everything that's going on. You want to know every expense, and that's where you spend a lot of energy. So every day we only have the ability to make on average probably 7 great decisions, and unfortunately that 7 great decisions will probably lie within your business. And after that, when you come back home, your wife might ask you, or your girlfriend might ask you, what's for dinner, what shall we eat, or what shall we do for the weekend, and you'll not be able to make that decision because you might be a lot slower, you might not be thinking, and that causes a lot of emotional disengagement, which might affect your relationship. So unless you might find somebody who's an active entrepreneur as well, like yourself, or somebody who's willing to take that risk with you, enjoys the risk, or even just somebody who's wanting to back you, who trusts you so much that if they back you, they will not suffer. Because I've also seen many cases, and 99% of us have seen cases of people backing up their partners, and they're suffering in heavy debt. The kids don't have enough to go to school. The kids have to work part-time to pay for their school fees, and everybody's suffering. It's not something nice, and that's something that your parents will always share with you. Your partner will always share with you that they've heard as well. And that's why this point comes about. The last point is people will want you to do good, but never better than them. This is absolutely true. To me, it was the case where everybody will always talk about, you got your own business. The first question they always ask is, you work from home because you don't have money to rent an office. Then where do you get your salary from? How much do you make? Do you make a lot of money? And then they start to observe whether you bought a new car, you bought a new house, do you have the latest Rolex? All these things come into play. And it's not their fault, it's just naturally humans comparing against one another. They will want you to do good. They always say, hey, if I could help you in any way, let me know. I've got a stable job. I'm good. You're in an unstable position, let me know. But if they see you starting to do well, whether it's you trying to show it materialistically, or you starting to get more confident in the way you speak, in the way you talk to them and your other friends, they might start to, and it is natural. A lot of people like to say like, oh, he's probably doing something for the short run, he's probably doing something dishonest, he's probably stealing money, he's probably not doing the right way, and the way how things were supposed to be done. So unless you really find real good friends who really trust you and you really get along, most people want you to do good, but never better than them. They always want to be in higher positions than you. They always want to be driving nicer cars, having bigger houses. And ultimately, from my experience as an entrepreneur, you don't want to be hanging out with these people. You do not want them on your social media as well. Because coming from me, I had this thing, which is a bonus point I want to add, is being overwhelmed. Where I had to delete my social media accounts because I was having psychological challenges with myself, comparing myself with what my friends were posting. They were posting the new Mercedes AMG, the new BMW convertibles,